You guys are watching Dream Big with Zhanna, inspiring you to reignite, refire, and refuel your life. And today we are continuing with the great and the only Scott Sargent. Because if you guys haven't watched the first interview with Scott, you can grab it now on YouTube if you go or subscribe to Zhanna Shpits YouTube, then it's there. Just look for Scott Sargent and Dream Big with Zhanna. And the first interview, just to recap a little bit, it was Scott was sharing his story. And his story is nothing little, nothing but great. And great is not really covering everything that you're supposed to know, or something that would inspire you to the point that you really create the real breakthrough and the real shift in your life. And just to sum it up, I want to let people know, Scott, about you. You are Scott Sargent is a former Olympian. He was a hammer thrower. He is also a recovered quadriplegic, believe it or not. He walked out of the hospital when everybody, including the doctors, the nurses, nobody believed that he would even stand, let alone walk. In 6 weeks, he got out of the hospital on his own legs. And not only that, he is now the peak performance coach who brings champion results to your life and to your business. It's incredible. So catch that story about Scott. But today we have a rare opportunity to, Scott, thank you so much for being open to that, to have you on the show again. And also, not only that, but to have an open coaching session with you so that everybody can benefit from that, everyone who is watching. And I agreed to be the guinea pig. So to set the stage for all our viewers and listeners and the audience, would you explain in your own words your theory and also understanding and definition of Olympic mindset? When you talk about that, how is it different from any other mindset that people might have?
Yeah, it's great. Thanks, Zhanna. It's a total pleasure to be with you again, and really, really excited to dive into things today. So, a lot of work that I do, I distinguish your Olympic mindset. And on the one hand, being an Olympic athlete is a pretty unique pursuit. So there's definitely a distinction from what people would consider to be everyday. And yet, at the same time, the distinctions that I work from, anybody has access to cultivating that kind of a mindset and taking that on for themselves. So one of the key elements is it is about being extraordinary. All the top successful people in all fields view themselves as different than ordinary, not ordinary, right? Mm-hmm. So how are you going to take that stance in your life to where you can be the extraordinary you? It's not so much in reference to other people, but it's about you being extraordinary and expanding into the next greatest vision of you, okay? The mindset that we have, the way that we look at, focus, and perceive things is so important. It sources all of our actions, our thoughts, our beliefs. It really sets the stage and controls the action. Tony Robbins says that success is 80% mindset, only 20% mechanics. Mm-hmm. So while the strategies, the actions, the things that we take, they're certainly important. If you want to get success and results in the real world, you've got to take action. Mm-hmm. And the mindset is the most important controlling element. And you want to have that solid first. You want to have your actions come from a mindset of success, of excellence, of self-esteem, of seeing it happen, of feeling it happen. Some of the other key elements are using the distinctions of mental training. So that's where, the phrase of your Olympic mindset, it's not just about a way of thinking, but it's actually engaging the tools and structure and systems like an Olympic athlete would in training themselves to continue to improve and perform better. Mm-hmm. So it's not just a matter of you sit there, you finally reach this one point of meditation where you're at peace with it all, you become enlightened, and the magic, you know, comes down from the heavens and you know, the rainbow ends in the pot of gold. No, it is, you know, success is a process. It is a journey, and it's about continuing to be in the practice and the discipline of it. And hopefully that discipline is a toil of joy. You know, you're in your passion. It doesn't mean it's not hard work, but it's all given in the context of a pursuit of your joy and your passion and love, and bringing yourself fully into whatever it is that's most important to you in your life. So, you know, a lot of times you'll hear about visualization is a skill that athletes have long used. And the most successful people in every form of life, you know, Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich talks about the power of a visualization, of seeing something in your mind's eye before you bring it into reality. Everything we see that's man-made in this world first became as an idea. And somebody saw that in their mind in a picture, and then translated it through language and action into what we physically see and get to hopefully enjoy, or, you know, deal with the consequences of, right? Depending on the manifestation. So what I like to do is call it centralization. So instead of just visualization, which is certainly powerful, using the vision and the pictures and seeing some things, but actually engaging all the senses, you know, sight, sound, touch, and kinesthetically how it feels in your body, the emotions as well as the physical sensations. So bringing all that is even more impactful and powerful. Yeah, go ahead.
So I was going to ask you, because you mentioned it in the first interview, something about centralization, and I love the word that you use. So I was wondering if you could, I just keep going back to that moment, because it really fascinates me how you in that hospital ward, lying down, and everybody's saying, no, you're quadriplegic, you cannot even stand up. Nobody believes in your recovery. And so you said that you were using centralization for yourself, and in the call with the coach helped. Could you share, like, let's say kinesthetic, you couldn't move at that moment, like in your, how can you use the language, specifically the language, to use some kinesthetic, trigger something kinesthetically for people who are primarily kinesthetic into your consciousness, so that you evoke all three, like the visual, the auditory, the kinesthetic? Maybe if you're open to that, Scott,
absolutely,
could you share just a little bit, maybe, of, just give us an example of what you were saying to yourself, or how it was for you, or you could do it on me. I don't know, you anything that you're open to do and for us to experience right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be so my pleasure, and maybe we'll tune in on a real specific thing that'd be of most value.
Yeah, sure.
You know, another thing I'll kind of segue with, I guess, is one of the other really important key elements that I distinguish with your Olympic mindset and all the people that I work with is actually about relaxation. So rest and relaxation is actually the most important part of a training regimen, because that's when your body improves and recovers and actually reaps the benefit and integrates the activity of the training that you've done.
So you mean, is it the allowing to yourself to relax, or truly relax, like in a 5-minute chunk of time?
Well, I'll put it both ways. So as an athlete, right, if you are training 10, 12, 15 hours a day, imagine the point of physical exhaustion. No matter what mindset you have, no matter how focused, no matter how perfectly you might be performing, you're going to be exhausted and you won't be able to get up and perform at the same level. In fact, you're going to quickly burn out or get injured. You know, there's no way you could do that. In a parallel, though, a lot of the business owners and entrepreneurs I work with, they try to run their business that way. They are constantly thinking about their business, even if they're not actually at work, but their brain is working on that, you know, 24/7. There's never a break, a rest. And that's so important to optimal performance in any endeavor, to have rest and periods of relaxation. Now, in terms of performance, you want to have an optimal balance state, but you're in a relaxed state of excitement and focus and activity, rather than a stressed out, intense one. And everybody, you know, I could talk about it all day long, but intuitively, if you just think about it, the times when you're most effective and having the most fun, you're in a more relaxed state. Doesn't mean there's not intensity, doesn't mean you're like fully going for it.
Yeah.
But when you're stressed out, when you're under pressure, you're forcing, you're tense, you're never going to have your best performance. And for sure, you're not going to have the most fun. So a key here is, how do you find the balance between being in a relaxed and focused state and having the right amount of excitement and energy and intensity that's called for, but really finding that edge. And that's optimum and peak performance.
I love that. I love that. Can we use it as an example? Because it is true in my entrepreneurial life. I'm sure everybody who is watching, if you are in your own business, even if you're not, it doesn't matter. What you just said, it's an issue. It's an issue. If you could coach, in this case, me, so that everybody can benefit, that would be fantastic. How to stay focused in a relaxed state of mind.
Yeah, for sure. So do you have anything in particular that you might want to focus in on, play with, or you think that would be, like a specific example, or you keep it generic is fine, but that would be most value to you, or, the audience that we'd be speaking to?
Yeah, well, let's say I'll give you the specific example of what is going to happen this Saturday. Let's say this coming Saturday, I am performing, right? It's a concert that I'm doing, but for you guys who are watching, it could be something like a project that is due on Saturday. And so everything else before Saturday, we still have like a few number of days, but my mind jumps into that Saturday already, kind of projecting what's going to happen, blah blah blah. So you're not really focused on the moment. Like, well, I'm not saying right now. Right now I'm very focused with you. But when I go out and about during the day, and I still have other projects pending, my mind is still on this. You kind of project it into the future, into the serious event. Well, serious on the scale of everything else. Because it's an event of great intensity for me. So how can I still focus on what I'm doing on a daily basis, forget about like jumping into the future, and bring myself into a relaxed state, enjoying every moment and even the journey that leads to that event? Is it specific enough?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that'd be great. And like you said, listeners can look at an example in their life of something that they're working on. Maybe there's a specific event, a time, or, who knows what that might be. But so for you, we'll, try to do something pretty focused and quick, just a few minutes, but it certainly give some impact and people an idea of the power of the tool and the work. Absolutely. So, the first thing typically that we'll do is guide people into a relaxed state. So for you, the first thing I'd have you do is, sit straight but comfortably if you're at your chair and your desk. Have your feet flat on the ground. Feel the solid base of the chair underneath your body. You might be resting against the back of the chair. You might be sitting up straight, whatever's most comfortable. And you could close your eyes now and just take in a deep breath in through your nose. And let it out slowly through your mouth.
And everybody else, you guys can do it with us.
Yeah, for sure. We'll just do another deep breath, filling your lungs without straining, just taking a nice, deep, relaxing breath. And as you let that out, let that exhale, and as you feel a little bit heavier, you feel some of your energy drop down into the ground. And if you feel the gravity of earth underneath your feet and the chair, just totally meeting you and supporting you, you're completely held. As you take one more deep, relaxing breath, filling up your lungs in through your nose. And then a gentle sigh, and again, maybe an ah, with how good it feels, letting it go and having a nice little smile. And I always like to incorporate some gratitude. So if you keep your eyes closed, just imagine yourself walking out into a scene in nature. A favorite place that you've been, or maybe some place that you're looking forward to go. You may, see the trees, you hear the sounds of birds or the wind. You're looking out maybe over some body of water, hillside, whatever that picture is, and feel the sun shining down on you. Feel the warmth on your skin. And feel the wind that blows over, brushes along you, rustles through your hair. You can smell whatever the smells are of that area that you are. You might even be thinking about the meal that you're going to enjoy, a lunch or dinner that's going to be so good after being out in this place that you love in nature. And from that point, I want you to see a gate. And whatever that gate looks like is perfect exactly the way it is. And from that beautiful, beautiful place in nature and that sweet, happy place of gratitude, I want you to imagine moving toward that gate. And that gate's going to represent the entry to this event where you're going to be speaking on Saturday. As you walk closer to that gate, you're feeling so relaxed. You're feeling so good. Your heart is warm and shining and just glowing like the sun. And you notice how peaceful and relaxed you feel, as well as that joy and that anticipation of the opportunity that represents. And so you walk through that gate and you're arriving at the event. You're noticing how relaxed and how calm you were. It was just peaceful and ease and grace leading up to that. And now you're there. Now you're walking into the venue. You're meeting people. You're finding out where you're going to go, where you need to get your equipment, all the details and logistics. And it's all just flowing so effortlessly and easily. And you smile to yourself as you realize, wow, this is like, I'm so ready. And you feel the excitement in your body. You feel the joy in your heart. And it's getting ready to express through your voice, through your performance. And you're seeing the light in the eyes of the people that you get to touch. And they're so excited in the anticipation of receiving what you have to give. And the sound of your music, how that's going to land on people. And you look at the lights, you see the whole venue, the colors on the wall, the stage, the seats, the speakers. And anything that pops up, anything that's unexpected, you just realize, oh, wow, how neat, how cool that is. That's all part of the experience. It's all welcome because you are so in the flow. You're so in your zone. You know you're going to give your best. And you know it's not about perfection. It's just sharing yourself so fully, so vulnerably, of giving everything that you have and letting people receive and absorb whatever they can. And as you step up to the microphone and it's your turn, you have the biggest, brightest smile. You're looking out into the light, into the faces of all those people. The applause settles down. You start to play. You start to sing. And it's just exhilarating. And you can fill in and expand the experience with that. I would, go more in depth if we had more time. But for now, you can press pause if you go back to this and just really savor the feeling of that music coming out of your body, the speakers, the instruments, the way the audience responds, the way it feels to stand on stage, to move, the reflections you see, right? Even the smell, there's the unique smell and that taste of excitement you have. Again, all the senses, as much as you can, drinking it all in, savoring it all, basking in it all. And then you end, you complete, and there's this huge, huge standing ovation, total applause and delight. You couldn't be happier with how it went. You can see the difference you made. Your heart is singing with joy, with success, with contentment and fulfillment, as you know you've given the best that you can, and you walk off that stage feeling so good and walk out into the rest of the day, the rest of the event, all the people and everything happening and unfolding in a way that just totally delights you. It's been your best event yet. And whenever you're ready to be complete with that, you can just walk back through that gate, come back into that place of nature, breathe into that a few quick breaths. And then as you come back to the present moment, you remember that you always have access to that. You have access to that place of gratitude, of putting yourself in nature, of tuning into all your senses, and then going, creating the experience, the future that you want to have, and preparing and training your mind, training your whole body and all of your senses to have that experience. So you're totally prepared and ready to be in the flow, to be in the zone, to make the most of it when you do have those opportunities.
Wow. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. I don't know. I don't know about, yeah, that's exactly what I needed. It's really, really, you incorporated all the language, and I was not. Now when I'm out of it, I can actually maybe even deconstruct what you did. We'll go back and see how you do the kinesthetic and the, because I was just totally into the experience, because the experience is what matters. Beautiful.
Yeah,
So
you know, and
go ahead.
oh, I just gonna say, you know, in doing deeper work together, obviously we'd be able to take more time to lay that out, and it's, you know, let's say that you know is a major performance, that's a really important opportunity for you and your business to perform and get specific results. We would go into more detail around that, obviously incorporating some background music that would be supportive in that process, and then that'd be something, you know, you'd have a recording to go back to as you're physically rehearsing and preparing your song and your performance. Mm-hmm. You'd also be able to mentally be preparing and training yourself to have that experience and programming yourself for peak performance and success.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. So for people, and so that's preparation for the event that is of major importance for people. Now, when we take that was amazing. And so that kind of not even sets the stage, but that's the solution to how you operate on a daily basis and stay focused now with the other tasks, so that you're not completely disregarding what is happening right now in this moment, leading to all of that, right? But you can still function and doing and do all the other pieces that are related to your business, to your personal life, right? Before Saturday. Like in my case, it's Saturday, and in your case, it could be in somebody else's case, it could be, I don't know, any other day, right? Deadline for a huge project. So once you do that, the centralization, as you said, that was very, very powerful, Scott. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Then you kind of, when you complete all of that, just like you did with me, and of course, like you said, with more time, you can get more specific. Then you come out of it, and then you suggest what? Listen to that if you have the recording. But if you, so what do you do after that?
Well, you know, one thing I didn't specifically do with you, but it's often really powerful to do something that's called an anchor. So it can be visual, it can be verbal, it could be in your physiology. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it may be just as simple as, you know, touching your middle finger to your thumb.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
And maybe saying a word. You know, what be the one word that you want to feel at the end of your performance?
Joy.
So you look at that, make that connection with your finger, whatever that is. Maybe it's a fist, maybe it's putting your hand on your heart and just saying joy or pure joy, total joy.
Yeah.
Right. So you have that one simple little anchor that you can use. And even if you don't have time to go through the whole visualization process, you can just put yourself with that immediately in that state of joy. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, as you're getting ready for your performance, and if you do have any anxiety coming up in the next few days, you can just remember, oh, wait, joy. That's what I'm going to have out of this. Joy. That's what I'm going for. Joy. That's the result I want. Because so much of this, you know, again, the power of the mind and mindset, I talk a lot about intentions and outcomes. So absolutely, you know, positive importance and power in having focus. In fact, laser focus is one of the distinctions of an Olympic mindset, right? You don't allow any distractions that are going to take you off your goal to pull you sideways. That doesn't mean that you won't have distractions. That doesn't mean you'll never get pulled off sideways, but you immediately notice that and make the correction and are focusing on what matters most. you know, and in life, you know, there's balance. That's really important. Everybody knows that, but it's not about having everything necessarily equal in equal portions all the time. It's a dynamic balance, and what I call actually balanced imbalance. So we always have different things that are fluctuating in our life and different things requiring different time and attention, but it's how do you organize all those different things going on and have a balance of the whole system so that we can be performing in our best. And again, a big part of that is having appropriate rest, relaxation, and a place to be able to focus from an optimal standpoint rather than a stress standpoint.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Is it for people, I understand, and the viewers also understand the importance of having a great coach in their life, just like it happened for you, it happened for me. Yes. Are there any things that you can do in between, let's say, the coaching session, or somebody who is not ready for a coach? Is there something or specific tip that you can recommend out of your Olympic portfolio that they can use on a daily basis so that they can still get on point and still stay focused on a relaxed state? I love that, the combination. And before they get into the form of coaching, or because coaching is, I mean, it's just out of the question. You need a coach. I mean, if you guys can surround yourself with coaches for every area of your life, that's the best, because usually, and Scott, you were talking about that in the first interview. You said that it's somebody who holds the vision when you cannot see that for yourself. Like your coach saw you walking out, maybe he didn't see you walking out, but he believed in you when you.
Oh, he did. Yeah, he absolutely did.
For sure. So that's very important. But something on a daily basis in between the coaching sessions, because people get, like you said, they get distracted. Distractions are everywhere. It depends on how you teach yourself or discipline yourself to always keep the eye on the target.
Yep. Well, and that's where, you know, the importance of having a vision. And when you talk about focus, it's, well, what do you focus on? You know, normally these days we have such split focus. We're focused on so many different things and so many different things almost simultaneously. Now you can't do things simultaneously, but they're chopping it up. So you never have enough time span to really move something forward, right? So focus has to do with consistency and actually moving toward your results. I'll give you a super quick example. Like when I was throwing and, you know, going for the gold medal and so focused and passionate around that pursuit, almost everything else in my life, and certainly new things that would come up, I would ask myself, is this going to help me throw farther? It made things really simple. You know, and you can ask yourself in your relationship, if you're dating or, you know, looking to have a relationship, is this going to bring me closer to the relationship I want? Is this going to help me have the relationship of my dreams? Or if you're married, if you have a spouse, a partner, is this going to help enhance my relationship? Is this going to bring more joy and love and fulfillment to my relationship or not? If you're really committed to that outcome, those kinds of questions can be really, really simple. And so, you know, I would say, I'm going to maybe a little shocker. We could have a whole other show on this, but I would say nobody needs a coach. If you're happy with your life exactly the way that it is, if there's nothing else that you want in life, nothing that you want to change, nothing else in terms of results or experiences that you want to accomplish or enjoy, nobody needs a coach.
I love it. I love it how you say that. Oh, yes.
And you can achieve great results without a coach, but you know, nobody that's a top performer in their field has gotten there by themselves, and nobody that's performing at the top level doesn't have a coach. So, you know, there's an access beyond there. Unfortunately, the way most of us are conditioned and wired in our culture, we don't see and celebrate the highest of our potential. We don't always have that inner voice in our head telling us how awesome and great we are and how unstoppable we are and how there's nothing we can't do, and how, you know, so having that outside perspective to hold the even bigger vision than we can see for ourselves, but also to see those blind spots and where we're holding ourselves back. So if you want to increase the speed and the effectiveness and the quality and quantity of your results, I would strongly encourage you to have a coach. Now, maybe it, so here's the great another story. When I was after college, my collegiate coach, who was awesome, had a great opportunity, went to the Air Force Academy. I worked with a new coach that didn't have a hammer throwing background, which is kind of unusual in the US. But right away, he's like, okay, well, who's the best at this thing? And I'm like, well, that's easy. Yuri Sedek from Russia. He's like the Michael Jordan of hammer throw, still holds the hammer throw record, still the oldest men's track and field record that's still standing. He goes, great, well, you should work with them. I'm like, what do you mean, me? I'm like 10th in the US. I haven't even been to Olympics. How can I work with this guy? But long story short, I made a phone call and another phone call, and I asked him if he'd be willing to work with me, and he said, okay. And then we had some logistics to work out, but that's the level of that I was taking on my pursuit, my goal, my dream. And if you're relentlessly committed to what it is that you want, you're going to find a coach. You're going to put yourself in a support team of other people. They're going to challenge you on a daily basis to be your best. And if you have to start nowhere but reading books and listening to audios, these days so much is available at our fingertips on our phone. And getting a friend and building relationships with other people that can support you and give you coaching. And it's rude to coach someone that hasn't asked you for it. So when you go and ask someone for coaching, you're opening yourself up to receiving it, and you've got to be coachable. You've got to be willing to receive that and really look and try it out, not just to negate it right away if you don't agree with it.
I love your perspective, and I love your story, and also I love it how you said nobody needs a coach. And in this sense, yes, I agree with you, and I think the word I use, the word need. And you picked on that. Thank you for doing that. Yes, there's no need for that, but you are absolutely right. If we need the faster results. And also, just in your story with this coach from Russia, you didn't believe that you could get that guy, right? Because who am I? Did you go into? Yeah, did you doubt yourself? Would he even consider me as a student? Something like that, right? Because
I wouldn't have even thought that if my coach hadn't have asked me and challenged me on that. Yeah. And he didn't know Yuri. And I worked with the other top, athletes in the US and other top coaches, but surrounding yourself with the best, training with the best, and getting coached by the best is the way to accelerate you, being your best. And that the thing I might wrap up with would be, there's performance and results, but there's being a champion, and we can all be a champion in our lives, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the results. It's who you are, it's how you're going to show up and how you're going to hold yourself, but also it's about, who and what are you there for? Being a champion in the world is being a stand for other people. It's a verb as well as a noun. It's not just about being the winner. Winning is great, but you actually learn more from losing. But the true test of the matter is, are you able to be a champion no matter what life throws at you? And, who and how are you standing for making a difference for others?
I love that. Thank you so much, Scott. It's it's always a pleasure to have you on the program. And here is an opportunity. May I suggest to everybody who is watching, here is an opportunity for you guys to be coached by Scott Sargeant personally on the open coaching session. So if you have any questions, if you have any doubts about yourself, or even how big your big dream is, because just like from the Scott's story, he would never consider this guy to approach a person who is famous, and somebody else, his coach in his case, saw that for him. So Scott can really give you a major breakthrough on this session. So if you have, I was gonna say if you have the gut, but really if you are if you are sick and tired of hiding out, just reach out. Scott is going to share below this video. We're gonna post the link to his calendar so that you can have a preliminary conversation with him. And if you want to do any consultation, if you have questions directly to the former Olympian, what else, like how, where else can you have that opportunity? Well, please take advantage of that. And then if you're willing to be seen, heard, appreciated on the program itself, then the next time we're doing an open coaching session, you could be the one you could be the one to have a breakthrough instead of me being the guinea pig on the show. With that said, thank you so much, Scott, for being with us, and thank you for the beautiful centralization and on your wisdom on Olympic mindset and all the stories. And you guys are watching Dream Big with Zhanna, inspiring you to reignite, refire, and refuel your life. And we'll see you on the next session with Scott, right? So anything else? Any last piece of wisdom from you?
So my pleasure. No, it's what lights me up the most is getting to support and empower people to their greatness in the world, and the biggest contribution that they can be. That's really the access to fulfillment. It's about what we can do for others. So yeah, with what I mentioned before, I'm happy to the first 5 people that respond to offer that, what I call your champion results performance assessment. So we'll look at, where are you being a champion, where you're at with the results you want in life, look at what are some of those gaps and how we can, develop strategies for you to actually, have those results and be a champion in your own life.
Awesome. So look for the link. We're going to post the link. So the first 5 people, so you have to take action, and you're going to have that opportunity to talk with Scott directly. Thank you so much, Scott, and we'll see you on another program.
Thanks, Zhanna. Absolute pleasure. And take care.
Bye.